Hello, hello! In this upcoming weekend, we got Shadow Mewtwo introduced in the new Shadow raids. It will go on from Saturday 10 a.m. till Sunday 8 p.m. and it will be really exciting. And also really difficult, I've heard. Because the new Shadow raids is introducing a new Enraged mechanic, which means as soon as you take it a little chunk out of the active raid Pokemon, it will become enraged, it will become more powerful. And what I've heard so far is an 80% increase in damage on top of the 20% from Shadow, so it will do 100% more damage, which means double. And Mewtwo in raids already does quite a bit of damage, so that's gonna take a big chunk out of your active Pokemon in the raid. And not only that, it will also get more tanky. I've heard it gets a 200% increase to defense, so technically it will become 3 times as difficult, like 3 times as tough to take, and 2 times as difficult with the damage. So usually you can take Mewtwo with like 2 or 3 people having level 40 and level 50 counters to beat it. But if this is going to be 2 to 3 times more difficult, it will be anything between 5 to 10 people required to beat the Shadow Mewtwo. So I thought this was a pretty good time to introduce a big raid graphic with a lot of different Pokemon choices, because not everyone are fortunate enough to have like 6 of the best counters to different raids. I've been playing with a lot of kids who used a lot of random Pokemon, so this will help anyone select some good Pokemon for this Shadow Mewtwo raid that is upcoming. That'll be very exciting. But quickly before I go into some of the counters here, what we know so far is that Shadow Pokemon from raids will have an IV floor of 666. And of course we have the Enrage mechanic, which we can fight with the Purified Gems that you might have gotten a couple of fighting some of the Team Go Rocket during the week. We don't know though how effective the Purified Gems are against the enraged Pokemon. It seemed what I saw with the Trainer Tip Snicks fighting the Tier 3 Shadow raid, that it wasn't really very noticeable, at least with 1 people using the gem, because you still struggled to take a Tier 3, which is supposed to be pretty easy solo. But maybe if we're like 5 people, 10 people using the gems, it will actually have a noticeable difference, and maybe we don't need to be 10 people to beat the Shadow Mewtwo. But nonetheless, this graphic is based on the Pokebattler simulation with the damage per second. It is only based on damage per second, because even though Mega Gengar is number 1, it's not going to be the one making the most damage in the actual raid, because you're going to faint pretty quickly. Mega Gengar is still a poison type, so the Psychic type's attack from Mewtwo will just melt the Gengar. But it does a lot of damage while it's in there, and if you can get a Shadow Ball off against Mewtwo, you're going to take a big chunk. Otherwise, the other Megas that I really do recommend, if you're not that many people to beat it, will be Mega Banette, Mega Absol, or Mega Houndoom. But if you are a lot of people and you will not struggle actually beating the raid, you're better off having an active Psychic type Mega, so that you can get some more XL Candy, or at least have a chance to get some more XL Candy when you finally beat and catch the Mewtwo. And then I would highly recommend to use a Mega Alakazam, because not only is it a Psychic type Mega that can give you more XL, but it also has access to Shadow Ball, which will do some pretty good damage, and is here actually number 10 on the graphic and on the chart on Pokebattler. So you can still do some decent damage if you want to bring it, if you have it powered up. Otherwise, you can still go for Mega Gardevoir, you can do Mega Latios, Mega Latias, and Mega Slowbro to still have a Mega Psychic type active, so you can get some more candy and some more XL candies when you beat the Mewtwo. But otherwise, this graphic is pretty self-explanatory. I shouldn't need to go into much detail. What I will say though, that even though we have some really high dark type attacks on these Pokemon, Mewtwo has access to Focus Blast, so some of these Pokemon, especially Weavile and Tyranitar, will just get one-shot by a Focus Blast. So maybe it could be a good idea to go in, start the raid, just one of you guys, check what attack the Mewtwo has on this upcoming raid you're gonna fight, and then build your team against it, because if it has Focus Blast, I wouldn't recommend using the Dark types. I would build out of Ghost type and Psychic types instead, because then you're better off. But also, like, Ice will kill the Hydreigon pretty quickly. So I mean, maybe not have 6 Hydreigon to fight against Mewtwo, because like half the move pool will still just one-shot the Hydreigon. But yeah, as I said in the start, it's like 1, 2, 3, and so on. So like we can build some counters down here if you don't have any of the top 12 Pokemon that I have highlighted. I know myself, I'm gonna use some Darkrai probably, and very likely gonna have a Mewtwo, just a regular Mewtwo with Shadow Ball towards the end of my crew, because I haven't powered that many Dark type counters up, especially not Shadow. and I still think I'll be pretty fine. So I hope you guys have a really good weekend. I hope you guys are lucky to beat the Mewtwo and maybe get some shinies. That would be really, really hype. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye bye.